In one move, the world's two superpowers rewrote the rules of high-tech conflict. For the first time in a decade, the United States and China have agreed to a cooperative rare earth trade framework, and the shockwaves are already being felt. Tech stocks are ripping, defense contractors are surging, and behind the scenes, the world's most powerful governments are repositioning for a new kind of resource war. This isn't about oil or even lithium. This is about the 17 obscure minerals that power every fighter jet, every missile guidance system, and every cutting-edge smartphone on the planet. And now that the world's two largest economies have made an uneasy alliance around them, the global balance of power is shifting faster than most investors can process. So what exactly happened? On Monday, the U.S. Department of Commerce confirmed that it had reached a provisional rare earth agreement with China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. The details are sparse, but early leaks suggest that China has agreed to restore limited exports of processed rare earth oxides in exchange for long-term U.S. investment in domestic Chinese refining operations. It's a deal no one expected. China currently controls 85% of the world's rare earth processing capacity. The U.S., by contrast, has one major rare earth mine, Mountain Pass in California, and relies almost entirely on China for refined materials. For years, rare earth elements have been used as leverage in diplomatic warfare. In 2010, China restricted exports to Japan a territorial dispute. In 2019, it threatened to do the same to the U.S. during a heated phase of the trade war. This history makes the new agreement especially shocking. Why now? According to insiders, both countries are feeling the pressure. China is facing internal economic weakness and mounting Western pushback on its tech industry. The U.S., meanwhile, is in a scramble to rebuild its critical materials supply chain after the COVID era revealed how fragile global logistics really are. But this agreement isn't a symbolic handshake. Markets are already reacting violently. Within hours of the announcement, investors piled into tech and chip makers. Nvidia spiked nearly 4% intraday. But not everything rallied. Lockheed Martin actually fell more than 4% on concerns the deal could increase long-term competition. MP Materials and USA Rare Earth both dropped sharply, losing 7 to 11% as investors reevaluated domestic plays in light of renewed Chinese export flows. Even lesser-known names in the rare earth mining sector, like MP Materials and Lynas Rare Earths, are surging on speculation that the deal could lead to joint ventures, subsidized infrastructure, and vertically integrated refining partnerships. And that's the beginning. Behind the scenes, Washington is quietly funneling billions into the Defense Production Act to boost domestic processing. China, for its part, is already testing new tracking systems to monitor rare earth supply chains, a sign that it intends to remain the global gatekeeper. Deal or no deal? But there's an open question no one's answered yet. Is this a real alliance or a pause before the next phase of economic warfare? Some analysts believe the deal is a Trojan horse, and China is only cooperating now to draw the U.S. into a deeper dependence, as it did with solar panels a decade ago. Others see it as a genuine moment of mutual recognition that both superpowers need each other to prevent catastrophic supply chain breakdowns in a world increasingly defined by high-tech warfare and economic volatility. Either way, the implications are massive. Rare earth elements are used in everything from laser targeting systems to EV batteries to satellites. A single F-35 fighter jet requires 400 kilograms of rare earth materials. Without them, most of America's defense technology is dead on arrival. That's why this deal has triggered such a dramatic rally. But there's something else happening too. For months, retail investors have been pouring into high-risk semiconductor stocks, betting on AI-driven demand. But now, institutional money is quietly rotating into raw material and defense plays, the sectors that will actually supply and secure the infrastructure behind the AI boom. This is where the quiet wealth transfer is beginning. And it raises the stakes for regular investors because this new rare earth détente may be short-lived, and when it ends, access to these materials could tighten overnight. Let's not forget, China has already classified rare earth exports as a matter of national security, and the U.S. has passed multiple laws allowing the president to block foreign investments in critical minerals. This is a chess game with global implications. The next move could come from Taiwan, or the South China Sea, or even from private corporations that choose to back out a deal under public pressure. Already, certain U.S. senators have called the agreement reckless and a short-sighted concession to our greatest adversary. If that sentiment grows, this entire framework could collapse. And if it does, the fallout will be immediate. Semiconductor supply chains could fracture again. Defense projects could stall. And the same companies that surged this week could nosedive within hours. But there's another possibility. If this agreement holds, it could mark the beginning of a rare period of tech-military collaboration between the U.S. and China, driven not by diplomacy, but by mutual dependence on invisible materials no one can afford to lose. That's the paradox of the rare earth deal. It's both a sign of progress and a countdown to the next economic conflict. A moment of calm that may only exist to buy time before a much larger realignment. And if you step back, this story is bigger than metals. It's about control. It's about who gets to build the next era of military dominance, digital supremacy, and AI-enabled surveillance. Every rare earth atom that changes hands is now a proxy for strategic leverage in a deeply divided world. This deal, for all its headlines, may ultimately be remembered not for its success, but for what it foreshadows. Because when the stakes are this high, and the materials this rare, peace becomes a temporary condition. And here's what almost no one is talking about. While all eyes are on the tech and defense surge, the logistics backbone is quietly being rewired. Port contracts, shipping lane insurance, and cross-border freight deals are being renegotiated in real time. If rare earth shipments become politicized again, the winners won't be miners. They'll be the firms that control how these minerals move. The logistics arms race is already underway. So what should investors do? First, understand that this isn't a news story. It's a signal, a clear signal that the world's most powerful nations are reprioritizing physical supply chains' digital illusions. Second, pay close attention to where capital is flowing. It's no longer about flashy AI stocks or meme-fueled tech pumps. The smart money is moving into defense, mining, and critical infrastructure. Finally, be ready for the snapback, because if this deal unravels, it won't be gradual. It'll be sharp, chaotic, and devastating for anyone caught on the wrong side of the supply chain. Stay alert, stay informed. Because in the age of weaponized minerals and tech dependency, the next global conflict won't be fought with missiles. It'll be fought with magnets. If it all collapses again, we won't be looking at supply shortages. We'll be looking at a new era where economic diplomacy takes a backseat to resource nationalism, where the right to extract and refine becomes a weaponized privilege, and where allies are chosen not based on ideology, but on access. Third, watch for fractures. Because if this deal unravels, it won't be gradual. It'll be sharp, chaotic, and devastating for anyone caught on the wrong side of the supply chain. This isn't about rare earths. It's about global dominance, resource control, and the silent escalation of economic warfare. The countries that command the flow of invisible materials will command the future, not through conflict, but through quiet leverage. Stay sharp. If this script helped you see the bigger picture, subscribe. The world is changing fast, and this is where we break it down first.